Amy Goodman gets taking a lot of guff for these questions she asked a Palestinian doctor, and I'll just play it for you.
Why don't you go with your family south?
And if I go, who treats my patients? They are not animals. They have the right to receive proper health care.
This is the last interview with a Palestinian surgeon before his death shortly after by Israeli strike.
The World Health Organization talked about this issue of telling doctors to leave their patients, choosing your own lives over your patients. Can you talk about that choice, since so many patients can't leave, for example, babies and incubators?
You think I went to medical school and for my postgraduate degrees for a total of 14 years, so I think only about my life and not my patients? I'm asking you, ma'am, do you think this is the reason why I went to med school? To think only about my life? This is not the reason why I became a doctor.
Hammam Alloh worked as a kidney specialist and nephrologist at al-Shifa hospital. An Israeli artillery shell struck his home. His father, brother-in-law, and father-in-law. He leaves behind a wife and 2 children.
So now a lot of people are saying, for instance, what the hell happened to Amy Goodman? And because she was asking those questions, and I asked several people, I go, are you serious? Because I didn't see the whole clip. And so I saw people who were coming at her online over this. And I'm like, she wasn't sympathizing with that doctor. She was actually saying, why didn't you follow the WHO guidelines and take off? And they said, yes, that was her position, that she was saying, why didn't you follow the WHO guidelines and leave your patients like they told you? Even for, it's hard for, I guess.
It didn't look like that.
It didn't look like it, right?
It looked like she can just talk about that.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I don't know. Maybe you used to work for Amy Goodman, and you've documented her, many of her shit takes over the years, not only with Russiagate, but lots of bad takes on many different subjects. And when people ask what's happened to her, Amy Goodman took a job at an outfit funded by the Ford Foundation, the Kaplan Foundation, the Open Society Foundation to manufacture consent. She certainly does manufacture consent a lot these days. Have you seen that clip going around the social media, and do you have a comment?
I have seen that clip. I'm not going to criticize her for this one. I think Democracy Now! Has done excellent coverage of the assault on Gaza. It's one issue where fortunately they haven't totally lost the plot. And, we've talked a lot about how when it comes to all these other important issues of war and peace that DN used to accurately cover, for example, the Syria dirty war, Russiagate, the Ukraine proxy war, I think they've totally betrayed their noble tradition. But not on this one. I think they've done great stuff. And so I don't see anything wrong with this clip. I think she's just raising the fact that this is what the guidelines of the WHO says. And how does this doctor respond? And that was a very powerful response. He says, I'm not going to leave my patients. And of course, this was the last interview he gave before Israel murdered him.
Yeah, I kept asking people who I saw coming at her online. I would DM them. I'm like, do you really think that's what she was doing? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, man, that's hard. Even for me, that's hard to believe that she was doing that. But is this accurate? Let me ask you this. Is this accurate that her show's funded by the Ford Foundation, the Kaplan Foundation, and Open Society Foundation? Do you know anything about that?
I think Ford Foundation is right and Kaplan Foundation. I don't actually think DN's ever been funded, as far as I know, by Open Society. People say that a lot. I don't recall seeing that when I was there, and I don't recall seeing any evidence of that.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear that she's been just horrible on every other thing, and it makes me feel good that I get more views than her on YouTube, that's for sure. Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show. We'll be in Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California. Then we're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Boston, Massachusetts. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.